2012 Bridge Cape Pioneer Trek, brought to you by Bridge. The penultimate stage was shortened to 55 kilometres due to heavy rain and cold. The ascent of Navelskop above Louvain Farm, the fertile ground for an early attack, and race leaders Evans and George were joined by the second place pair of Combrink and Bell, and they worked to build a substantial lead over the chasers. They snaked through the silky Sarsveld single track to the finish at the school, and Westphal Columbia took their second stage win. The stage saw a change in the lead in the women's race. Second place Yolande Speedy and Yolande de Villiers used the climb to distance the fragile race leaders Stopforth and Williamson, and by the finish they'd put in 6 minutes to the Bridge BizHub pair to take a slender 54-second lead into the final stage. Over the years, the race has engendered great loyalty for both the riders and the sponsors.
Wild has been synonymous with the inauguration of the Pioneer Trek, and I think it's not only riding it, which makes it fantastic, but also to give back to the community what it is all about. I think makes a big difference, and obviously the scenery where you can never get by normal circumstances. I think it makes it absolutely fantastic.
It's day 7, the final day of the Bridge Cape Pioneer Trek, starting here in a grey, gloomy and a little bit wet George. They head over the Montague Pass before the Chandelier Game at Ostrich Park and the finish in Oudtshoorn, and every one of these riders really has put in a huge effort to get to the start line on the last day, and they've got another 84 kilometres to get to the finish. It's going to be a wonderful ride, if a little cold and wet. And the riders wrapped up warmly. Only the best wet weather gear would keep them just a little dry. Despite the weather, the atmosphere on the start line was pretty upbeat.
No, absolutely no. It has been magnificent. It was really a privilege to race here, and the route has been exceptional. I've never seen such beautiful trails and sceneries, and the ambience amongst the athletes was great. So last day to go. Hopefully we'll hold on to our lead.
Yeah, it was a very nice week. The weather was not so easy for us, but we hope of good weather. But the weather was like in Switzerland.
I mean, I think obviously it's the last day today, so it's one we'd like to win, and I think it suits us. The pass is fairly tricky and should suit our characteristics, so we're up for a win today.
84 kilometres is what lies in store. The climb up Montague Pass comes early on. Another truly beautiful ride up History Road. One more spike beyond Herald precedes the delights of Chandelier's Jeep and single track before the finish into Oudtshoorn. Like every one of the host communities, Van Kervel High School had pushed the boat out, offering tired, cold and wet riders the use of the dormitories rather than the damp tents overnight. The late sleeping residents of George oblivious to the passing parade of colourful muscle-clad lycra. This is one stage everyone is up for, regardless of the weather conditions. After 6 days of riding through the indescribable beauty of the Klein Karoo and Groot Karoo in the Southern Cape, there was a sense of determination to get the job done, go the full distance. Mindful, of course, of the dangers of looking too far ahead and making a silly mistake. That's one thing Evans and George will not be doing. Having won the prologue and the first 2 stages, they're back in serious race mode and they attacked early. George was doing the hard work on the front, Evans hanging onto his wheel as the pair set about opening up a half-a-minute lead over Combrink and Bell of Westphal Columbia. In the chase group, Timo Cooper, the young solo leader, alongside the mature Benmelt Swanepoel. The Montague Pass is perhaps the most spectacular example of road building in the area. Commissioned by the Colonial Secretary of the Cape Colony, John Montague, it was built by Henry Fancourt White and 250 convicts over 3 years. And when completed in 1847, it had a cost of £38,000. and it's the oldest unaltered pass still in use in the country. The sturdily built Keer River Bridge, like the pass itself, a national monument. Combrink and Bell by now almost 500 metres off the pace. The chase group comprised solo riders Cooper and Zorweg and Wetzelina Sim and Fitzenmeyer, and the fourth place Astron cycling pair Munich and Volater. It was going to be a slushy day. The brackish colour of the water in the river, an indication of higher salinity. Up the road, George dictating the tempo for Evans as they steadily increased the gap on the chasing pair. On a day of low visibility, the helicopter skillfully manoeuvred up and down the pass by pilot Dean Riley, affording our cameras the chance to capture not only the 165-year-old stone walls of the pass, but also these superb athletes at their very best. Harvey Combrink, a road racer until the end of 2011, taking a turn on the front. Bell, though, looking solid on his wheel. Evans and George passing beneath the century-old railway bridge. 49-year-old Heinz Zorweg, a hotel employee from Austria, loves the mountains, and he slipped away from the chase group. He was fifth on the road. Fitzenmeyer and Sim of Robert Damel Momsen on their Momsen 29ers, built by local man Victor Momsen. The Astron pair of Munich and Volater also in that group. Slipping further back, Bierkus and his partner Swanepoel. By now the rain was falling quite hard and maintaining core body temperature critical, as was nutrition. In these conditions, athletes need to be more aware of food intake as they burn energy riding and keeping the body warm. Evans and George over the top, they donned their wet weather gear and headed down the pass. They were 1 minute and 50 seconds ahead of Bell and Combrink. Around 5 minutes back were the chase pack, Astron Cycling's Volater and Munich, as well as Fitzenmeyer and Sim. Mixed leaders Sandro Sonsen and Catherine Sturdeman of BH High Bike Tigers. Hitching onto your partner's pocket is legal in stage racing. Yolandi de Villiers in her element as she led Jolande Speedy. The Klein Karuchiks had opened up a 2-minute lead on the bridge. Bizha pair Stopforth and Williamson. They were climbing alongside the second mixed team on GC, Friedrich and Rieder, both Germans suffering from colds but determined to give their best on the final day and defend their place on the podium. While the top riders could take anything between 20 and 45 minutes to climb to the top of Montague Pass, those in the middle and the back of the pack could spend a lot longer in the rain. But this is the type of day these riders will talk about for years to come. I mean, it'll be a lot colder and a lot wetter than it actually was on the day they climbed up Montague Pass. James Thompson, Olympic gold medalist in the lightweight rowing crew. He's riding with his fiancée and doing a sensational job. So were Kevin Evans and David George as they headed towards the Chandelier Ostrich and Game Farm. Yo-yoing a little closer, Combrink and Bell on the undulating roads where Combrink is very much at home. Another swollen river, but this time a bridge built to cross into thick sand. Look at the skill here of Munich, Petrus Malherbe, Nico Fitzenmeyer, Chris Volater, Heinz Zorweg, and right at the back, Robert Sim. None of them putting a foot down. Consummate professionals. Yolandi de Villiers and Jolande Speedy had linked up with the leading mixed pair on the road. Jenny Steenhardt, the former Swedish road race champion, and Craig Gerber, third on general classification. They were dominating the day. Ishan Stopforth and Catherine Williamson, well, their bubble had burst and they were slipping further and further back. They would retain their second place. Evans and George driving the pace. Nico Bell focused on their backs. Into Chandelier, mountain bikers haven this, but not much time for Bell and Combrink to pull back. Evans and George. The finish in Oudtshoorn at the Oudtshoorn High School was beckoning, and another clinical and highly professional performance by South Africa's leading mountain bike stage race team. Kevin Evans and David George of Nedbank 360 Life. They wanted to win today, and they stamped their authority on the day's proceedings very early on. A job well done.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to finish off with a bang, and our boss Lance said he would like a win today, and never ever suffered so much before in 84 kilometers. It's just, you know, one of those days the legs went great, and Dave was like dancing on the pedals. Had a few choice words with him at the bottom of the pass, and then I had to apologize. But yeah, he was really strong today, and I think he really wanted the win, so I had to suffer and hang in there.
Put this race the last week in perspective in your mind and how it's been?
Fantastic, man. I mean, it's like I say every year, I really enjoy this area and the Karoo and the hospitality, and Dryland and Henko and Carl put on a fantastic event. I think this year they got the route just right. Time-wise, manageable for all levels of riders, fun for us, and big thanks to Bridge for possibly putting Ruby through her first 5 years of school.
Aside from the 25,000 Rand first prize, Evans and George, of course, did pick up the 100,000 Rand bonus for winning the stage up to the top of the Swartberg Pass on stage 2. Combrink and Bell's brave efforts came to naught. They finished in second place on the day and second overall. A good week for the Westphal Columbia team and a great day for the Azran cycling pair of Wallerton and Munich. Their first day on the podium, they put everything out there and got a reward for it. Heinz Zorbe crossing the line with them. The first vets, Fitzenmeyer and Sim of Robert Daniel Momsen, they finished together with Petrus Malherber. And Jolande Speedy and Jolandi de Villiers, another stage victory to confirm their status as the dominant women's team of the week. And a great upset in the mix, the stage taken by Jenny Steenhag and Craig Gerber, third on GC, but they enjoyed the reins today. Second a year ago, Catherine Sturneman's come back this year with Sandra Sonchen, and they've taken the win in the mixed. The 2012 Bridge Cape Pioneer Trek took local and a record number of international riders through 7 days of pure mountain biking. The remote valleys and high mountains of the Klein Karoo, the vast flat expanses of the Groot Karoo, the ports and the portages, and the warm beating heart of the Platteland communities. It had it all. The revised route was refreshing and was welcomed by all riders. Make no mistake, this is still a seriously challenging event that can stand up with pride next to any in the world. Congratulations to all the finishers. You are worthy pioneers. Pivotal to the future of the event is maintaining the great pioneering spirit.
I think, as the participants pick up, they're probably going to struggle to keep this sort of atmosphere, and I think that's a challenge, because I've made so many new friends this week, and everybody came to me, and everybody know a lot of people much better, and that's some of the races you never get that. So I think keeping the atmosphere like this that's probably going to be the challenge.
Nearly 25 minutes back to Bell and Combrink, Bierkes and Sonnepol hung on to third place. 3 international teams inside the top 10 on the final GC standings. De Villiers and Speedy came from behind to win the women's ahead of Stopforth and Williamson, but Nierden and Church a long way back. Sturneman and Sonchen also had to come from behind as Friedrich and Rieder were the early leaders in the mixed. Close racing in the solo categories. Timo Cooper ahead of the experienced Austrian Heinz Zorbeck, and Desiree Loubser beat Diana Carolyn. The 2012 Bridge Cape Pioneer Trek, brought to you by Bridge.